Hi, everybody. This is Erica from In the Company of Cards with Lena from Lena Down Under. Hi, Lena. We missed you last week.
Yes, and I'm pleased to be back
Good to
because
have
the world's been marching on.
you,
Yeah.
as it does. Yes. So, hi, everybody. There are people from all over, a lot of our regular
And
viewers.
hi, Deb Smith is in the Hunter Valley in Australia. Awesome. Hi,
Nice.
Deb.
Good. My Erin, the hairstylist, who is so kind about my hair adventures this year with us.
Very
Colorado,
loyal. Yeah.
Colorado's in the house. We've got a lot of people. Michigan, Oregon, uh, Utah, Texas. Yeah, we want to talk
Oh,
to you,
yes, we'll
Texas.
be talking about Texas.
Mhm. So we have a bunch of issues that we thought we'd look at, especially since we've not seen each other for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And not that this is, I mean, not that this ought to be the top line, but it kind of is. The felon had his third or fourth annual physical in the past 13 months. Don't know how that works, but okay.
Yeah, right.
um, he was meant to go the next day to Camp David, which is that sort of the rural presidential compound that he probably hates. And he was supposed to go there with his whole cabinet. And after the physical was over, the announcement was made that he would not be going to Camp David, but that instead the cabinet meeting would be, which was sort of a dear leader thing, right?
Yes.
Everybody going around telling him how great he is, was held at the White House. Of course, he fell asleep, which he would have done in Camp David. Um, I think, and I know a lot of us readers think, well, we know that he did not have a perfect checkup. We know his weight is not what he says it is, nor is his height, nor is his cholesterol, nor is his blood pressure. We know all of that's bogus. But I know that I have read that he did get some new news, that something has either cropped up or something has become worse. And what I saw was that he's terrified of that. But I also think that they have not told him the full extent of what's wrong with him. Just because
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, well, first of all, if it's something cognitive, no point in telling him because he wouldn't process it, right? He's a genius and he aces all the cognitive tests. So that would, but I think it's not just that. I think it's something coronary related.
Right. Yes, and you've got to think that the staff around him, no one is prepared to tell the man the truth about anything, even his own health.
That's right.
What does this say? And it must be the same in Putin's realm.
Probably.
Right. People wouldn't be telling Putin all the worst news from the front line, for sure.
No. So he had this checkup. He's still in the land of the living. I think, we all do that magical thinking thing that we do where we wake up in the morning and
oh, did it happen in the night?
Did it happen in the night? And I get champagne for breakfast. But just know that the inevitable is inexorably coming for him as it is for all of us. So I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying it is coming for us. It's coming for him, but it's coming for you and coming for me. It'll come for him before it comes for us. I'm just saying. And in the meantime, hang in there. So there's that. Speaking of, I know we're going to talk about Vance at the end, but I did want to say one thing. Speaking of medical things, Carolyn Levitt, we know, just had a baby girl. God bless. And the person who is standing in for her as the press secretary, because we do triple duty right, in this administration
Yeah.
is, drum roll please, Vance. Isn't that weird?
Oh, right. Well, I've got confused over this during the week because there's another guy, Stephen Chung.
Oh,
You know,
he's been a spokesperson. That is his
yeah.
role. But Vance,
He comes from UFC land. That shows
right,
you where the
right,
caliber of this thing is. So that's interesting. So Vance is supposed to step into Caroline Levitt's job
yeah,
as well as being VP.
yeah. And
Oh,
I'm sure
that's yeah.
she will immediately, snap back after having that baby and be there next week for all we know. But yeah, Vance was pressed into service. I guess my theory is that we've got Marco doing triple duty, quadruple duty, quintuple duty. And so I guess Ellen wants to see, can Vance handle wearing more than one hat also?
Yeah, and also it's essentially communication. So it's like an acid bath for his communication skills.
And he does, and acid bath is right, because that's good. He's a terrible communicator. He's a terrible communicator. But we'll get to him later on. But I thought that was interesting that he was being made to do that.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. The other thing that's on everybody's minds today is it's the morning after the night before in Texas. I read on it and I got my video out just before, just ahead of when they announced. So that was good because I got the right thing. So we know this was the runoff for the Senate seat in Texas. This is John Cornyn's seat. John Cornyn has been there quite a long time. He was a staunch Republican, still is, but he was not supported by the felon. The felon supported a really bad guy, entertainment purposes only, YouTube, Ken Paxton. And he's as bad as the felon, if you know what I mean, in those certain ways, right? And so, but the good news is that he really is a lowlife. And that means that apparently, according to Tallarico, who is, of course, the Democratic candidate, people have come up to Tallarico and said to him, I'm a Republican, but I'm not going to vote for Paxton. I'm going to vote for you. So I think
there'll be a bit of that going on. And I think that's Tallarico's gift, and that's what he brings to the table, is he can siphon off, hopefully, enough of those votes. We all have to make a caveat, of course, that it's not stolen in some way, because remember what happened to Beto.
Right. There will be an attempt to steal it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
There will. I mean, across
but outside of an outright steal, the other thing is legacy media that's left with, one foot. The other one's in the grave.
Right.
They have embraced Tallarico, just as back in the day when they were healthy, strong institutions, they reviled Bernie, they killed Bernie's chances, they would not cover him. So they're always hot and cold about who they embrace and who they don't.
Right.
But for what it's worth, I think Tallarico's got a really good chance.
Yeah, he does. Again, I have my own feelings about him.
Yeah, I know, I get it.
But, sometimes, you have to sort of, well, I don't have to because I'm not a Texan. I was going to say, hold your nose and vote, but I understand the strategy.
Look, it's a bit like Gavin Newsom, and there's different ones. They're not faultless beings.
Right, no.
And they're ruthless enough in the political sense to trample on people, etc. But they have their role.
Right.
And Justice Newsom's one of the few people who can actually smack Trump down effectively in a soundbite.
Right.
Well, so I've got to hand it to him for that.
I know you wanted to talk a little bit about Democrats, and I since we didn't meet last week, I don't think we got to talk about the autopsy being released.
Yeah, well, I don't know that it's even been released. I think it's just leaked.
No,
It has been released now.
It was released. I think what happened is that Ken Martin, the head of the party, that you wouldn't know if you ran into him,
No.
But he got so much pressure, he just said, "Okay, here, take it." But he also said, "This is not a document I'm happy with. It's incomplete. It's sloppy, etc." Now he tasked someone to do this report, a friend of his, who he ended up firing, and he never appointed anybody else to pick up the
It's
ball.
the Merrick Garland syndrome again. Let's
Right.
drag the chain till it's too late.
Till it's too late. That's right. So there were certain findings. The main one was that Uncle Joe was at fault for not doing what he swore he was going to do when he was running the first time, which was, "I'm going to be a one-term president." That's what he said. I said to my partner, did I make that up that he said that? And they said, "No, I remember that too." Well, yes, he did say it.
Yeah.
And then promptly forgot it. So, of course, there wasn't enough time, 100 and some days. There was too much emphasis, the autopsy said, on big donors. They said that they didn't think enough about the middle America, everyman voter, that Kamala was too corporate in her approach. But, I think what will happen is that the thing is, well, it's an autopsy, right? So it's just there was a big brouhaha about it, but then I think it will do what autopsies do. I mean, it'll die. It'll be.
Absolutely. And after a year and a half, the fact it was sloppy and incomplete and everything,
after a year and a half,
says we haven't got our act together. That's all.
Clearly.
That's the autopsy,
Exactly. If that's the autopsy, what about the rest? I mean, it's a little scary. You're right.
And nothing attached to it. I mean, I've only seen analysis of it when it was leaked, but I think I've seen most of it. Yes, it blamed Biden and Kamala, as if anyone could do any more than Kamala did in 100 days.
Exactly.
She did magnificently to just get to the point she got, which was probably a win, but that's neither here nor there. Focus, Lena, what were we talking about? In the analysis. There's still no vision. Now, I understand by definition an autopsy is retrospective. What did we not do well? What could we do better? The what can we do better doesn't exist in the democratic land. That's the problem.
Right. And
that's a big problem.
We don't have a lot of time. It's all well and good, and aren't we lucky that we have a foil that we can say, "Well, you don't want that party, do you?" We can say that. But
no, exactly. And for the midterms, the Dems just really have to have a shower and turn up, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. But then after that,
yeah. I just want to share a little bit with the viewers here. I was watching a segment on David Pakman a night or so ago about all this, and he was saying his team have approached high-level Dems and stuff, but what the Dems say at that high level is, we need all the questions before we go on air. And he's saying, as an independent journalist, and he was speaking for others that were unknown, but I don't doubt his point of view. He's saying this is exactly what kills it. If you're an independent, whether it's Midas Touch or iHip or whatever, you can't have people like performing SEALs giving pat answers, thought out positions and stuff to question. They've got to be able to think on their feet. That's how you become more magnetic and interesting to people. anyone can be a cardboard cutout and do the wah-wah. And he was very, very, very critical of that, and he identified it. And when he was asked to a meeting at the last of the Biden era, he and others were invited, what can we do better in the social media space? They all said this, and they named a few other things. Being available is one.
Right.
But they just don't do it. They're too timid, or
right.
they're worried about what each other's going to say, or what. So there's a stranglehold. The point of all that is there's a stranglehold from the invisible Ken Martin, the Schumers, even Hakeem Jeffries, about stopping that going ahead. And that's who's going to win. Because in Argentina, the only reason the nutcase Malay won was because his whole campaign was run on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
So he got the youth vote. It was as simple as that. And the Dems need to get the youth vote.
Well, I keep coming back to Wes Moore from Maryland, who called his own party the party of no and slow. And he's right.
Yes.
I mean, this is a problem. I mean, I get it. They're all sort of shell-shocked, I don't know, still in recovery from the loss in 24. But they have to get it together. They have to get it together.
Yeah, and there's a helicopter or something's going over. There are two other prongs to this too, is they need to be more visible and more vocal generally. Like their second tier, like the AOCs, the Jamie Raskins, they've got the people there. They need to be more vocal, but they also have to anticipate meddling in elections. Get on the front foot, not the back, and go, this party's always accused everybody of stealing their elections. We want to make sure these elections are not stolen.
Right.
So how are you making demands to have independent oversight, etc.?
I know. Well, my hope is, and I guess this is what they would say, you'll see way more of us after the midterms. I mean, they
not
don't
good enough, because they've got to convert independents who are already disenchanted, right? The independents have moved away from Trump, but you have to give them something to get out of bed for, right?
Well, you referred to, and I get why you referred to AOC and everybody as the second string. I think that they need to not be seen by the party as the second string.
Yes.
I mean, they are the ones, the progressives are the ones who have the potential and the understanding of how to enliven an electorate.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's this window between the midterms and 2028 where the Dems have to put on their fighting gear and embrace the progressive agenda, at least in some places. It doesn't have to be totally national, but at least in some places, because otherwise the GOP is going to come up with new people to replace the felon. And people could say, oh, well, maybe I'll go for him instead. You don't want to give them any oxygen. So you have to be across how you're supporting the people through this crisis where millions are going to lose their jobs with AI. What's the plan? What regulation are you bringing to the table? What alternative job training are you providing for the displaced workers? What are you going to do about it? What are you charging the data centers who are killing the labor market in the US? Are you going to charge them for their own energy? And how do you do that and have a plan?
Well, you know what? One thing that the Republicans are that the Democrats are not, they're not team players. I think currently everybody's so busy jockeying for position in the presidential race. Who's going to run? Who's not going to run? That they're not playing a team sport.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. And also the blue states, get taken for granted all the time.
Right.
And as we all know here with this sort of sophisticated audience, guys, you understand how the blue states subsidise the red states, etc. But who's giving back to the blue states?
Right. 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 Exactly. Nobody.
And also the Dems are famous for not wanting to hurt anyone's feelings and then getting washed down the storm drain. So I think, again, I'm using Newsom. It's not that I am uncritical of Governor Newsom, but I use him as an example of someone who can cut through. Give the man 90 seconds, he will have some cut through. Give him 5 minutes, he'll have more cut through. That's what they need. And he is the only American I've ever heard say, we in the blue states subsidise all the red states. Republicans are never going to admit it, and the centrist middle-of-the-road Dems never talk about it in case it hurts someone's feelings in Alabama.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think that their hand will be forced, because one of the other things on my list that I wanted us to discuss is this wolf ticket threat. That's what my mother used to call it, selling a wolf ticket.
Like, a wolf ticket, I love it.
If you sell a wolf ticket, it's like, you better be able to back it up. So this wolf ticket that he's selling is that he's threatening, now that the World Cup is almost happening, he's threatening sanctuary cities. So this would be places like Atlanta, Newark, New Jersey, New York City, LA, San Francisco. These are travel hubs, right? That these cities, he's going to remove the customs and the customs officers. What is he going to, wait, hold on.
So you're not talking about ICE, you mean the routine customs.
He's going to remove the customs service from airports in these cities. Well, what does that mean? That means that people can't, like from Europe, the people they can't travel. So
this is where it's so demented.
Well, everything he does is
so demented.
But you would think that these cities, which are by and large Democrat, would say, okay, he's threatening us because we're sanctuary cities. He's threatening Europe that there will not be this. We need to band together. Let's not be in our own little bailiwick worrying about which one of us is going to be president. We need to band together against this guy. I mean, of course, it would just be shooting the whole country in the foot to do that.
Yes, it's bizarre.
Kind of like tariffs, you know what I mean?
Yes. We'll show them. Whoa. Like,
oh my God.
That is truly demented by any measure.
Right. But this should be a rallying point for those democratic cities.
Exactly.
Those mayors, those senators, those governors. It should be a rallying point.
And they, in turn, need killer messaging.
That's right.
In the sense of, this is making America look like a hokey backwater. And he's trying to punish us, but he's actually punishing the whole country. I mean, it's not a hard case to make.
No.
And I haven't heard anything.
Well, he only just, I mean, to be fair, he only just announced this. So, you know.
Announced it in the sense of thinking about it? Or
yes. I'm thinking about closing customs to, European flights. And we're going to do it in these sanctuary cities until they start playing ball with ICE and let us.
And there's only 5 minutes to go till till the event. Oh, look! It's surely big business would throw themselves around the Oval Office to stop this.
Okay, but look at tariffs. Don't you think big business should be having a little problem with that?
I really thought, oh, look, a week from now, he will be so trampled by the corporate giants. Mais non.
No. No. He still has a lot of wind in his sails. And I think it's fear-based. Fear and greed-based. Until he's off the stage, there will always be people who do what he wants.
But by then, look, the tariffs combined with the threats on Canada, the threats on Greenland, the abuse of allies.
Yeah.
The World Cup, even if this wasn't on the table, is a disaster in the making for a whole range of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
The host cities will all be left with huge security bills and no one's buying tickets, and it's an absolute nightmare. So he has single-handedly torn America from greatness and thrown it into the muddy river.
But then the response seems to be, since that's the case, we need to stay afraid of him. Instead of saying, since that's the case, he needs to be taken out of power. I mean, that should be the response. Did you see this meme that he posted the other night? It was him shooting a rhinoceros. Now, why a rhinoceros? Because a rhinoceros is a rhino. What's a rhino? Republican only. So there he is doing a violent act with a weapon
on a rhino.
Not to mention, apparently his weekend activities so far consist of fake assassination attempts. Like if they're always on the weekend.
I think every 6 weeks there's got to be one of those to keep him awake.
Every 6 weeks. It's funny, but it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And someone in the comments here, Bookwoman, says, you're right, Erica, we need to stop bending the knee. And I think that's absolutely the case. And other world leaders have stopped, more or less, bending the knee.
There's a very good example of them refusing to bend the knee. He was on a call. Now, who was it? Oh, he wanted everybody to join his something that he was doing. And he's on this conference call with all these nations. And he says, so you're going to join, right? Oh, what is it? Is it the David Accords? The Abraham Accords.
Oh, they have to all join the Abraham Accords.
That's what it was the Abraham Accords. Right. And so what happened was, it's on a call. Nobody said anything to the point where he actually had to say, is anybody there? So this is the nation, the world's response is just silence.
And that doesn't happen. Nothing like that happened in his first term or anything. Everyone will deal with this imbecile while he's there, and that'll be an awful era. But this time around, he's left everybody with no choice.
No, he's left them with no choice. China, which believes that it's on the ascendancy, and they really could be, has decided that they're just going to sit back.
Yeah, totally.
And watch.
And watch him implode.
Watch him implode, meaning watch the United States implode. So I don't know. Here people are still talking about the election, and somebody's saying, Bookwoman 5130, what bothers me is that Jasmine Crockett did not win the primary, and I'm not sure because of racism if she could win against Paxton or Cornyn. Well, I'm sure there are a lot of Democrats who said that they were being strategic and that they felt that a white Bible Belt guy who is meek and mild and can quote the Bible would be a preferable candidate to a Black woman because, there are a lot of people, who would not vote for her when it came down to whoever the Republican was and Crockett, who would not have voted for her. So that's true. And then somebody said, okay, this is Damon 6868. Kamala ignored the foundational Black Americans. Many of us took the couch. Dems have been all talk. Many people feel used, and the Dems know this and are silent. This is something that I find very frustrating because I completely understand it. We, especially Black women, we hold up the electoral system, we hold up the Democratic Party.
Yes.
It's like Black women retire from their jobs and then they go to their retirement job, which is, manning the polling stations and making sure that everything. And it is, I'm going to say, as a Black American woman, I do feel slighted by the Democratic Party. I do think that they'll say things like, we can't deal with identity politics. We need to go to the heartland. Well, what does that mean? I know what it means. It means that the concerns of people who are Black and brown and otherwise othered are secondary to those white Trumpy voters that you would like to, hold hands and circle up with. It's disappointing. It's infuriating. And I think the danger is that, the identity politics voters, which is, I guess, what they want to call all Black and brown people, could say, you know what, you all fight this out. We'll just be over here, watching. And I hope that doesn't happen. But I can see
yes,
why.
exactly. But totally understandable. It's also Black women in particular, like you said, have been so consistent.
Yeah.
Whereas the Latino vote often has gone conservative anyway, which I could never understand. But, you've got a Catholic community. So when you add up abortion and small business, so many of them ended up as conservative voters. Then Latino men had a macho moment and now I'm sure regret it largely. Okay, my point is Black women have always been consistent for the Democratic Party.
Well, and then there's that, we've talked about this on this show before, that illusion of proximity to whiteness in the Hispanic community,
yes.
which makes them look around.
And with Usha Vance too.
Well, yes, she's another example of that. That's right. So I am concerned. I don't think, well, I don't know. I don't have any evidence that would lead me to believe that the party is addressing this on any serious scale.
Yes.
I feel it.
I mean, on the other hand, Tallarico himself is quite interesting, and we can only all pray Jasmine gets some epic, powerful position with real teeth down the track. Okay, so let's have that understanding.
Right.
Leave him to the lion's den. He's very good at what he does.
Right.
And what I think is interesting about him, and someone was saying in the comments too, that he isn't just a timid sort of Christian thing. He actually, what we're seeing, I think, with, first of all, the last Pope, who was the first Pope in my lifetime and many lifetimes, I would suspect, to speak of capitalism and the evil of greed per se.
Right.
And I think Tallarico has enough religion to, they don't want to challenge him because he could smack them down, but also he's making those other almost lefty sort of statements. In another context, they would be left, know, but criticizing the crudeness and the cruelty of this insatiable greed, which is the root of all these problems.
It is. And the country itself, I wrote this in my Substack yesterday, is founded on what? Slavery and money. I mean, so this is the thing. He can talk a progressive line like that. A lot of them do. But I think that there are a lot of voters who say, oh, wait, that's a bridge too far because that sounds un-American. Well, how many more lessons do we need to learn before we say, we might want to reevaluate what it means to be American, what it means to be American.
What is it to be American, and therefore what should it mean to be un-American?
Exactly. Well, there was a great quote. Did I write it in my notebook? That it was on my Substack. It was a quote from Toni Morrison, and she says, "Don't let anybody convince you this is the way the world is, and therefore must be. It must be the way it ought to be."
Yes.
Right. I mean, and that's true. So
yes. And that's why we've all got to keep our heads up at this time too, because it's really important at this critical time in history, because out of the pain comes revolution, and out of the revolution comes necessary change, right? Like that's
right.
the human condition. So it's really important to be ready with your vision on the other side of this, when things that would be considered impossible now are being discussed.
Right. Well,
because
one good thing. Oh, go ahead.
No, go on.
One good thing in favor of the Democrats, they apparently are doing yeoman's work with the assumption that they're going to win the House and ideally the Senate, to bring all kinds of charges against this government and the people in it. Like, I think Todd Blanche, I think he will end up in jail.
Yes. It's funny, I've just had that vibe really strongly in the last few days. He
Right.
won't be protected. It's like Nixon skated and 38 others were
Right.
indicted and stuff. And that's definitely going to happen at some point with this. But he'll be top of the list.
Well, he'll be top of the list, but here's the other thing that I think should buoy our spirits, is the fact that the felon has stolen and tried to steal all this money from us. And he went too far. He wanted the slush fund. Okay, that was bad. And there were Republicans even who were like, wait, excuse me, what? You want what? But then he went too far. He said,
Yes.
by the way, I don't want anybody looking into anything that has to do with my finances, my wife's finances, my children's finances, my children's
Forever.
That was a bridge too far, which was perfect because, trust him to go over the ledge. So he went too far. I think it's terrific. He's got this. What was it? What is it called? His Board of Peace. Remember when he tried to get all the countries to sign up? So the Board of Peace was, you could be in it. It's like a club.
You had to pay to play.
Yeah, you had to pay to play.
And
the cost, it was just a mere, per country, $1 billion. I mean, that's not too much.
Round B.
And he was going to be the head of it.
Mm-hmm. For life. That was another thing he was going to do. For life.
And the money he was going to be in charge of the money. And the money was going to go to rebuild Gaza. Okay, well, what did we learn happened with the money? The money is in an account that JP Morgan runs. It is in a personal account. None of the money has been dispersed to do anything with Gaza. And the person who has complete control over it, as per the documents, whatever the legal piece of it, is him. That is grand theft. I mean,
yes.
That's great. I think he's so terrified because he thought people would just go along. And Republicans have said, wait a minute, what? No. Now, granted, you have John Thune, who had the guts to say, wait, no, that doesn't sound right. But then instead of having people be in session and publicly tell him, no, you can't take money like that. And matter of fact, where is that Board of Peace money? Instead of that, he says, oh, everybody gets to go home early for Memorial Day weekend. And then they don't come back till next week. But I think that these people who've all gone home for this week of vacation will have gotten an earful. And I think it is just the the height of hubris for him to ask for such a thing. Just give me carte blanche. And so I think he could be in a sling too. And because he could be in a sling and he knows he will be prosecuted, I think criminally, this makes him that much more dangerous.
Exactly. And I really hope, because we all can safely assume he'll be not the leader, let us just put it that way, in a year or so, for whatever reason, whether it's health or whether there's a coup or whether there's anything. So the Dems have to get these majorities, because I'm living for the day Kushner gets arrested too.
Kushner, that's another one he's going to go. He's part of this Board of Peace Fund as well.
Yes. And what is great is the Gulf states that have blatantly bribed Kushner for years, since the first administration, because that's how they do business. I pay you money, you give me things that I want. Like it's quite a straightforward arrangement, except he hasn't delivered. The opposite's happened. They've been attacked for the first time since they were even created as countries.
That's right.
They've been attacked by the bribee's father-in-law. Now, people think of it in family terms. That's how the extended stuff works.
Mm-hmm.
They're not happy. They are not.
And so, that's right. Well, there's all that speculation that at the last minute, the felon would escape to, one of those countries. They're not going to let him over their airspace.
No. And you wouldn't want to be in Moscow now. And he's not one for, the Seychelles. So God knows, he'll go the bunker, make him his own little bunker.
Well, that's the other thing. Okay, the bunker. So the money.
Not that bunker. I think he needs his own at Bedminster. Make him a bunker at Bedminster.
Well, all right. So the ballroom is supposed to have the bunker underneath. That money, he said that was being paid for, that his rich friends had all ponied up the money and it wasn't going to cost Americans a dime. Come to find out, no, nobody has put any money towards that ballroom / bunker.
No. And it's that flip-flopping and inconsistency. So had the money poured in privately, that would have been a corrupt act in itself.
Right, exactly.
It didn't happen. So now on top of everything else, he's got to draw it down from the public purse. Have you seen the visuals of the pool, Erica?
Okay, so which is going to be like a pool, like a pool that you swim in. Did you know that he paid that guy 7 times the going rate for a job like that? And now he says, "Oh, I don't know the guy."
I know, it's crazy. It's something like 2,200 feet long or something.
Yeah.
No swimming pool in the world is that big. And that's his game. It always has to be the biggest. But there's a graph and it has the Empire State Building and the pool vertical, which is an interesting concept.
Right. I mean, I'm sure that there are people around him who say, "Oh, let's let him just play with the pool and
play with the pool, play with the ball."
Now they're constructing that thing for the
arch.
No, well, there's the arch. No, the UFC thing.
Even it's having problems selling tickets because again, now we're seeing the overreach in action constantly.
Well, it's always been there.
A day or two to get to the worst point. Now he goes straight to the worst. So they're not even selling tickets because I think he wants to charge $1 million for a seat, or some rubbish like that too. So you have the UFC in the White House, and someone said, how did they describe it? It's like the whole White House is now like some dreadful brothel you'd see somewhere, like really cheap and tacky.
Yes.
You know?
And of course, then we're going to have to pay to put it back the way that it was.
Yes, and rebuild the East Wing.
All right, speaking of the East Wing and the White House, let's talk for a minute about JD.
Oh.
So JD Vance, who was about to be a fourth-time father, there was word on the street that he said it could have been a joke. Joe Rogan said that he had talked to Vance and that Vance said he just wanted to be sure that the baby was all white. I mean, all right. I hope he didn't say that. I hope he didn't. But anyway, there's that. He has been doing Carolyn Levitt duty at the podium, which I think is meant to humiliate him,
Yes.
but also meant to see, how does he handle those kinds of questions where you've kind of got to answer them off the cuff. I think he's being compared to Marco Rubio. I think the fact that he was a bust at in the Middle East and with the Pope, and that Marco had to go clean that mess up on aisle 6 in both places. So word on the street is that he is thinking about not running in 2028. Now, the thing about 2028 that people need to remember is there will be a primary, and not just a Democratic primary. There will also be a Republican primary. If the felon is incapacitated, please God, some kind of way, yes, then Vance will take over as president, but only till the end of the term, at which point there will be a primary, and that primary is going to be very, very crowded. We know that the felon's goal is to never leave, and he certainly doesn't want anybody to succeed him, but since he can't seem to avoid that, then at least he can have a good fight. Like he can watch them duke it out. And that's why he's pitting these two men against each other. So word is that Vance, is thinking about not running. Now, that's interesting because Peter Thiel, his master, his handler, his puppeteer, the whole
his
object,
own sociopath.
Yeah, he was a sociopath. The whole object of the game was to have JD in the position of president. But again, JD may have proved to be not quite what Peter Thiel hoped that he would be in terms of charisma, which he has none. He's supposedly smart, but he doesn't act like he's very smart.
No, you could have fooled me. We have to take his word for it or someone's word for it. So, but I think people can elect to dumb themselves down, and that's terrible. And I think that's what he's guilty of.
Oh.
He used to be capable of much more nuanced thought, and he's electing not to do it. And that
unhappy, is that why?
I think for ambition, he thought he'd do that. And that's why he sounds so stilted. I suspect he's got quite a complex brain going on, and he's trying to simplify it. He's trying to stay on message, and it ends up just being,
Yeah.
But it almost doesn't matter. The point
doesn't matter. Well, then we have Erica Kirk, and my audience knows I'm like all into this whole thing.
Yeah.
And she bought the domain after Charlie died. And listen, I was no fan of Charlie's. I never heard of him, to tell you the truth, until I've heard little things he said. Like I remember him saying, well, if I'm in an airplane, I want it to be a white pilot because, so I had heard that. But anyway, he dies, and he's not even cold in the grave. And she buys the domain name Vance Kirk 2028. Because that was
how revealing is that?
Right. So that plan looks like it could be foiled. Even if JD stays in, Erica is going down like a rock. I don't know if you've
Yeah,
heard of the big
they're both of them are poisonous individuals and make a really sinister combo. The combo has, I don't know who they'd appeal to. I can't think of anyone they'd appeal to.
Well, now that Turning Point USA is being found out to be sort of a shell company. Like they supposedly have all these chapters in all these high schools and colleges, and come to find out that 3/4 of them don't exist at all. Their donors, meanwhile, are pouring in money. So I suspect Erica herself could end up going to jail one day.
Wouldn't that be bliss to behold?
Wouldn't it?
Oh, I've just got to share this comment. It's from Sybil. Sybil must be Welsh. Cymru. A little joke. That Trump went to Walter Reed for a colonoscopy and they found half of Congress.
I've heard that one.
It's good. I love it.
Yes.
Yeah, so Vance has sort of shot himself in the foot.
Shot himself in the
one
foot.
way and another. But also he suffers from the problem that everyone who works for the felon suffers, which is if you do your job badly, he hates you. If you do it well, he hates you more.
Right.
So you cannot actually please this guy. So unless you're blonde with nice legs, don't have a particularly big role, and he can keep wheeling you out, he's hideous to everybody, you know.
Well, but I mean, I think it shows poor judgment to sign up for that in the first place.
Oh, look, totally, because he had the runs on the board without exception of eating his young alive, right?
Right.
So more fool them.
Exactly.
But everyone's ego at play. Oh, that's everyone else.
Ego.
I can manage him. I know what Roxy's. No, you don't, because he doesn't know.
Well, let's use our cards, and I'm trying to think of how I want to phrase the question.
Oh,
will Vance step down? I mean, he's not going to step down.
Will step away.
Well, people have even said that. I think that's a bridge too far. Some people have said he's going to step down as vice president. No, he's not.
No, I think it feels like he would say, "I'm not going to run in 2028."
That's right. So will he run in 2028? I guess that's the question. Or not? What will happen? What will JD decide? So I'm going to use the young man for him. He's not just because he's not old, and I'm going to look for him in the deck.
And there's a question here: will JD use the 25th? No.
I mean, listen, I've prayed for that every week. It's not going to happen. Nope. You would think, but no.
JD.
All right. So interesting. I mean, I pulled 5 cards because that's a traditional non-spread. So we have the key, the White House, as it happens. In the center is JD. And then we have the child and the star. And I just, the child could be anything. I think he was committed to eventually being in that top job behind the Resolute desk. I think that has been his intention all along. But I think that he feels diminished with this child card. I think he feels diminished, and the felon wants him to feel, certainly. And he could run later.
Yes.
Which is like the future. He may say, you know what, let's let this whole rinse cycle clear everything out, clear the air.
Yes.
Let Marco have it, or whoever, whatever. And then I'll run later when I can establish that I have gravitas, that I am a smart guy, that the stench of the felon is off of me, which is, I think, being really optimistic, because he will always be tainted with the stench of the felon. But I
Yes.
think he's feeling not up to the job.
Mm. Well, speaking of jobs, this is a poisoned chalice in
Oh,
this case, right? Like
yeah,
with this Knight of Cups, that he knows it's a poisoned chalice
yeah,
right now. Right?
yeah.
So he's decided to bide his time. This makes
That's it.
total sense, right? I think his wife, or this Queen of Wands could be his wife, or it could be other advisors saying to him, because presumably people in his camp want him to do well, but they know this is not the time to do it. The risk he's running, this is my card for the Republican Party, the fake happy families. The problem is that the GOP is going to destroy itself through this
Yes,
process. I mean, it's doing
yeah,
a very good job of that.
yes.
Okay. And so it's possible. That's something we should talk about in future weeks. Will there be a third party leaning left, and or will there be a third
That's what
party leaning
I,
right?
I almost mentioned that to you, because I've heard that theory that there will be the old guard Democrats, then there will be a progressive wing, and
Mm,
then whoever else wants to reconstitute the Republican Party, whatever
mm,
that would look like, that would be the third party.
yeah,
Yeah,
interesting. But that's what I
very interesting.
got from it. But he cannot rest easy. JD cannot rest easy because they're not good friends. We
No,
know they're not good allies.
no,
They can't trust each other.
no. Mm.
Oh my God.
Well, once again, we have filled an hour.
Whoosh.
And thank you all for all of the comments. I've been kind of squinting and scrolling while I'm talking and listening. But really, I love that you're all as engaged as you are. Isn't it nice to have Lena back?
Yes.
And we will, you can find Lena at Lena Down Under. You can find me here at In the Company of Cards, where we read cards on our respective channels.
Come and join us on both the channels.
And we will both be back here again next week. And next week, we will be in the month of June, correct?
I know. And then it's July 4th.
I know.
Oh
So
my
one
God.
of the things we're going to do is we're going to start to look at this 250th anniversary from as many angles as we can
Yes.
during
So
the
we'll
month of
touch
June.
on it
Mhm.
going through.
Right. So we'll do a little. We'll do a little. We'll have at least a question on it
Yeah.
every week until we get to the 4th. Yeah. Well, thank you, Lena. Thank you, everybody. And we'll see you on our respective platforms, and then here again next week. Take care, everybody.
See you guys. Thanks.